Oral questions, questions orales, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians deserve nutritious food that's affordable and excellent. But unfortunately, this isn't the case after 10 years of these Liberals. Let's look at today's facts that have come to light. The Canada Food Price Report expects a family of four to spend up to $17,600 more, an increase of $995 a year, almost a double since the Liberals came to power. When will the Liberals abolish the tax and the inflationary spending that are driving up grocery prices? The honourable member. First, Mr. Speaker, the industrial carbon price does not apply to farmers. So they are taking imaginary cases that don't apply here. But if they want to talk about the food price report that was published today, what they said was that what will apply and that will have a cost on the price of groceries is climate change. I'd like to know if they're ready to fight against climate change. That party doesn't have a plan, and they're fighting against Canada and not against climate change.
The Opposition.
Let's analyze the weekly spending for groceries. According to today's report data, in 2015, the years when the Liberals came to power, the average Canadian family spent $163 a week on groceries. Today, next year rather, it'll be $340 a week, the double. The government's costs have driven up grocery prices. When will they abolish taxes? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, once again, they're just talking about imaginary taxes from the Leader of the Opposition. Systematically, this leader votes against food school programs. They vote against the Canada Child Benefit. They vote against dental care. They vote against pharmacare, things that help people who are in need in Canada. We are making these proposals, and they are opposed to them.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Hardworking Canadians deserve affordable, nutritious, and delicious food. Meat and potatoes on the dinner table every single night. But after a decade of this Liberal government, the cost of groceries has literally doubled. Today, the food price report shows that Canadians will spend $17,600 to feed a family of four next year. Double what it was when the Liberals took office, and $995 than the preceding year after the Prime Minister promised to be judged by the price at the grocery store. Will the Prime Minister reverse his inflationary taxes on food?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, another example of the opposition using a report without actually taking the time to read it. In fact, beef, one of the prices that's going up most dramatically, is directly linked to climate change. In fact, the report says that challenges persisted for producers throughout the year in Western Canada as they experienced a drought and input costs like feed rose. Mr. Speaker, we're focused on how to help Canadians. That's why today I was with Ontario signing the child care agreement that will save families $10,400 a year.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This is the point in any Liberal term when they go from making promises to making excuses. The Prime Minister promised that he'd be judged by the prices at the grocery store. And let's look at those prices on a weekly basis. Today's report gives out data that shows that back when the Liberals took office in 2015, it was $163 a week to afford groceries for a family of four. Now it's $340, literally double. Liberal taxes on farmers, fertilizers, food processors, and packaging have all driven up the cost of food. Will they reverse these Liberal taxes on groceries?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Instead of focusing on imaginary taxes. We're working to control the things we can, which is putting more money in the pockets of Canadians, Mr. Speaker. That's how you help Canadians with affordability challenges. You make sure they have the money so that they can adjust to whatever happens in the market. You'd think Conservatives would understand market pressures. It's clear they don't. Mr. Speaker, today we signed with Ontario an extension of the early learning and childcare program. Mr. Speaker, $10,400 per family on average. Do you know how many weeks of food that is? At least 63 if they're cost.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Children cannot eat agreements or photo ops or promises. If any of these costly promises Liberals were making actually were real, then you wouldn't have seen the number of kids reliant on food banks doubled to 700,000 kids in the last 5 years. Today, a report from Dalhousie proves that the weekly grocery bill of a family of 4 has doubled to $340 a year. That's the result. So will they finally reverse the Liberal taxes that are driving up food?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, time and time again, the members opposite say no to Canadians, say no to supporting Canadians. We have a Canada Child Benefit that supports young families. That's right. Indexed to inflation, it isn't taxed, it is something that they voted against. Time and time again, we'll be there to fight for Canadians. And if he wants to talk about imaginary taxes, that's only an imaginary argument. We're doing the real work to support families.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the industrial carbon tax is not only real, it was in the Prime Minister's own budget that he wants to increase it. It's a tax on the steel that goes into farm equipment, the fertilizer that goes into farm fields, the equipment that goes into food processors. Then there's the tax on food packaging. By banning plastics, they're making food go bad earlier and costing an extra $1 billion, all of which is passed on. And finally, a $78 billion deficit is inflating the cost of everything. Wow. So instead of doubling the cost of food, why won't they scrap the taxes on groceries?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Speaker, it's clear the member of the opposition has not read the report because, in fact, the report predicts that inflation is actually going to stabilize and go down. So here's what we're doing on this side, Mr. Speaker. We're putting money in the pockets of Canadians, whether it's through the Canada Child Benefit, which, oh, by the way, is indexed to inflation and that they voted against, whether it's affordable child care, Mr. Speaker, for families with growing children, helping them save money for down payment on a house, which they say is a goal they have, but they voted against, or whether it's for school food programs for those families that need an extra hand. We're here for Canadians in good times and bad. It's pretty clear where they stand for themselves.
The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, we thought that the Liberals had finally agreed to remove from the criminal code the exemption that allows incitement to hatred under the guise of religion. But today we learn this is far from the case. Just as we're beginning to debate the Bloc's amendment to repeal the religious exemption, the Liberals tell us that they want to cancel all meetings of the Justice Committee until 2026. Clearly, they are afraid to adopt the Bloc's amendment. Clearly, they are bowing to religious lobbies. Will they pull themselves together and abolish the religious exemption, yes or no? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Justice. Please, silence. Mr. Speaker, we are ready to do the work. We started last Tuesday to do a clause-by-clause study, and we're going to continue to work hard on this file. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, religion should never be an excuse for committing crimes, including incitement to hatred. Ending the religious exemption that allows this abuse is a unanimous request from the National Assembly of Quebec, but the Liberals are still abandoning the will of Quebecers to bow to the will of a handful of dogmatic religious leaders. Tolerating this type of speech is not respecting freedom of religion or freedom of expression. It's even less about being open to diversity. It is about being cowardly in the face of violence. Will the Liberals get their act together? The Honourable Minister Speaking of freedom, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask a question that is very relevant with respect to today's news. At the Bloc, like their leader in Quebec, do they think that Quebec artists lack loyalty to the Quebec nation? May they answer the question yes or no? The honourable member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, we knew that the Conservatives would side with extremist preachers because they are the official party of the religious right. But it's appalling to see the Liberals abandon Quebecers, Canadians, and their fundamental principles. Principles such as equality before the law when it comes to crimes, principles such as gender equality, the rights of sexual minorities, the maintenance of social peace, etc. And all because they're on their knees before the various religious right-wing groups. Will they stand up, get their stuff together, and immediately reconvene the Justice Committee to abolish the religious exception? The Honourable Minister. I understand, Mr. Speaker, that the Bloc wants to divert our attention, but if we invest historical amounts in culture, it's not to gain the loyalty of artists. It's for them to thrive themselves and have their expression. Investment in culture could neutralize artists in their view, and it shows the disdain they have in Quebec for their artists. Neither the Bloc leader or they have the right to judge other Quebecers about their loyalty to Quebec.
The honourable member for Foothills.
The Prime Minister told Canadians he should be judged by the price of food at the grocery store. Well, the verdict is in, and the Liberals have failed. Canada's food price guide said Canadians will spend $1,000 more on groceries next year, the highest increase in years. When the Liberals took office, the average weekly food bill was about $160. In a decade, it has more than doubled to $340 a week. Will the Prime Minister, why is he breaking his promises to Canadians and increasing taxes on farmers, on food and fuel?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, we've done more for affordability in 6 months than that leader and that party have done in 20 years. We've cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We cut the tax for first-time homebuyers. We've cut the consumer carbon tax, automatic federal benefits, school food program. The list goes on and on. They opposed it all. With that leader, it's the same old tired rhetoric again and again. On this side, we're getting things done for Canadians. Thank you.
Member for Foothills.
Well, I think Canadians will have a very different point of view. They know these food crises, as a result of that was in this report, are a direct result of the Liberals' industrial carbon tax, fuel tax, and inflationary spending. The Prime Minister himself said he should be judged by the price of food. By his own metrics, he has failed. When the Liberals came to office, the annual food budget was about $8,300 a year. In a decade, it has doubled to $17,500 a year. Will the Prime Minister get rid of his taxes on food so Canadians can afford a Christmas dinner?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, that member, that leader and his party need to look in the mirror. They have voted against every affordability measure we have brought forth. Let's talk about automatic federal benefits. Benefits for 5.5 million Canadians, getting benefits to those that need it the most. Did they support it? No, of course they didn't support it. They have not supported one affordability measure we have put forth since we've come into government. It's time for them to look in the mirror, get real, support our programs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Newt-Tecumseh-Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, where's the beef? That's what Canadians are asking as food prices keep rising. This Prime Minister told Canadians he would be judged by the prices at the grocery store. And yet 86% of Canadians say they are cutting back on meat because they simply can't afford it. The Liberals' industrial carbon tax and inflationary deficits are driving up the price Canadians pay at the checkout line. Why is this Liberal government making it even harder for people to afford food?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Mr. Speaker, there's no taxes on food. And look, food's too expensive. That's a fact. fact, but I've got some other facts for the member. One, the #1 driver of food cost inflation is climate change, something those Conservatives will never say. Two, industrial carbon pricing applies to goods sold on international markets, and they're not passed on to consumers. Three, industrial carbon systems impact household expenses by 0%, Mr. Speaker. Here's some ideas of ways the Conservatives can actually help Canadians. Vote in favour of dental care, vote in favour of national school food programs, vote in favour of affordable housing, or vote in favour of $10 a day childcare that we just signed with Ontario, Mr. Speaker. Try and help a Canadian for once.
The honourable member for Newtecumseh, Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, that answer was all bun, no patty. Said nothing of substance to Canadians who can afford groceries. Because of Liberal policies, next year a family of four can expect to pay nearly $1,000 more. On food, food prices could rise 6% next year, with meat expected to see the biggest price hike. The Liberals are refusing to act to lower food costs. The beef's already gone, so what does that minister think Canadians should cut back on next?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, I got a lot of respect for that member, and I've been to his riding, and I know the farmers in his riding very well, and they know that industrial carbon pricing doesn't affect the cost of food in Canada. He should spend more time talking to those farmers, Mr. Speaker. But if he wants something to put on his hot dog, here's 4 things. Dental care for Canadians, $10 a day child care for young kids, a national school food program to feed the kids in his riding. Mr. Speaker, affordable housing goes great on a hot dog. Put that on your hamburger.
Again, through the chair, the honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister told Canadians he should be judged by the prices at the grocery store. Canadians are now paying 112% more for food than when the Liberals took office, and groceries are consuming a bigger share of every family's budget. Even basic center aisle staples, such as coffee and baby formula, are skyrocketing. Canada's food price report confirms that next year, Canadians will pay an extra $1,000 on groceries. When will these Liberals finally stop their inflationary spending, scrap the industrial carbon tax, and let Canadians afford groceries again?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, instead of repeating the same canned lines, I would ask this member from Newfoundland and Labrador, Conservative member, to think about what she voted against. $10 a day childcare, food for kids in schools, something that her colleague called garbage, dental care, this family benefit. 46,000 families in our riding take advantage of this. I ask her to start to work for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians.
Honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, a local single mom of 3 reached out to me today in complete desperation. She's working hard, doing everything right, yet a series of setbacks has pushed her to the brink. She's falling behind on the basics. Now she's trying to figure out how to give her kids Christmas, while food inflation makes the essentials feel out of reach. Families shouldn't have to choose between groceries and giving their children a holiday. When will the Prime Minister finally take this seriously and make life affordable for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, I would say to the mom in the member's riding, please ask your member to vote for childcare.
That's an idea.
Dental care.
That's an
school
idea.
nutrition program. A family of 2 can save $800 a year. Support the inflation index, Canada Child Benefit. 46,000 families need that support. Housing supports, and on I can go. These are tangible affordability measures. I will never politicize the struggles of moms in my province.
The Honourable Member for King Vaughan.
The Prime Minister told Canadians he should be judged by the prices at the grocery stores. Under their watch, the weekly...
Liberals don't like the bosses.
The member can continue. It's fine.
Prime Minister told Canadians he should be judged by the price at the grocery store. Under their watch, the weekly grocery bill has doubled, and the food price report of 2026 says it will get even worse. Families in my community can't even afford a healthy meal, not even the modest Italian dish like pasta fagioli. Yet, this government keeps stirring the pot with higher spending, the industrial carbon tax, and the new fuel tax. What's the matter for you?
Everything's quite all right. Again, through the chair. I know it doesn't pack the same punch, but through the chair. The honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, those Conservatives clearly can talk until the cows come home, but they're all hat and no cattle. When their own platform had nothing in it for food affordability, did they vote to put money in the genes of Canadians? No. Did they vote for the National School Food Program? No. Did they vote for old age security? No. Did they vote for the Canada Child Care benefit? No. Did they vote for the disability benefit? No. There you have it, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Jean-Pierre. Mr. Speaker, Radio-Canada has revealed that the no side is reforming. The Liberals are wondering how to respond to a possible third referendum in Quebec. Well, here are some ideas. Don't betray Quebecers by abandoning the fight against climate change. Don't threaten a province with imposing a pipeline on it. Don't dismiss all of Quebec's requests on the budget. Don't turn the Quebec Liberal Party into a federal training club. Before even coming up with the arguments for the no side, have the Liberals, these world champions, considered that they could stop adding arguments to the yes side. The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, do you know what they're not talking about in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean this morning? They're not talking about the obsession with the referendum. They're not talking about the separation, the division, about the squabbles in our society. They are worried about what? Their jobs, building our country, taking care of their kids, putting food on the table, and paying their mortgage, Mr. Speaker. What our party is concerned with. They are trying to divide and separate people. We are focused on jobs and the economy. The honourable member for Drummond. The Government House Leader should perhaps go to Lac-Saint-Jean. Yes, they are talking about building a country, but yeah, the country of Quebec. So here's some more suggestions for the no camp. The federal government could respect Quebec's laws, such as state secularism or the Charter of the French language. They could fight against the decline of French in Quebec instead of funding its Anglicization. It could transfer immigration powers to Quebec. It could stop meddling in Quebec's areas of jurisdiction. There's a long list because we have the same issues since the 1980s. Nothing's changed. Is there someone who really still thinks that things will change today? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Throughout the last election campaign, the Bloc didn't propose anything. They just said, if it's good for Quebec, we'll vote for it. If it's not, we won't. But now, when they have the opportunity to vote for a good budget for Quebec that sets out $4 billion for Hydro-Quebec, investing in their infrastructure with historic investments in culture, they voted against it. And even worse, when they had the opportunity to present their requests, there was absolutely nothing on culture. That's a shame. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-Aubinière. This Prime Minister, who has accomplished nothing since he took office, but has inflated spending, he said, Canadians will judge me on the cost of groceries. Well, the time for judgment has come, and the cost of food will rise at an unprecedented rate next year, according to the annual report. Average family paid $159 a week on groceries when the Liberals came to power in 2015. 10 years later, the bill has almost doubled to $340 a week. When will the Prime Minister stop his inflationary spending so that Canadians can eat their fill? Thank you. The Honourable Government House Leader. Once again, Mr. Speaker, I would challenge my colleague or any of his groups of colleagues to explain what inflationary spending is for them. Is it the school food program? Is it dental care? Is it investment in jobs, in renewable energy? What is inflationary spending for them? We're still wondering, and the colleague doesn't seem to know what it is. I would ask him to explain it to the House and to all Canadians. The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Aubinière. It seems to be hurting them when we say that their own Prime Minister said this. I didn't say it. The Prime Minister said, "You will judge me on the cost of groceries." Well, the time for judgment has come. The average family will pay an extra $1,000 more next year, an extra $340 a week, twice what it was 10 years ago. He has been judged. He's lost. Now he needs to accept the verdict and put an end to his inflationary spending so that families can eat properly. The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, perhaps let's turn things around. I can explain to him what important spending is. For us, it is spending that leads to job creation, spending that leads to single-parent families to have a child at daycare who will be fed through a school food program. And important spending for us is something that gives dignity, a job, an opportunity, a future to young Canadians. That's what important spending is for us, and they call that inflationary spending because they would cut all of that spending.
Member for Richmond-Arthabaska. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals find it funny that we're reminding everyone of the Prime Minister's promise that he could be judged based on the price of groceries. But their record is a failure. Canadians have seen no results. And why? Well, because it's the same old Liberal recipe, and they're expecting a different result. I don't know if the Prime Minister has ever done his own groceries, but the fact is that for many Canadians, it's a struggle. And they don't expect the Prime Minister to produce any results because he says, who cares? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives keep talking about inflationary spending, but when we ask them what that means, they can't answer. For example, during the campaign, we asked, would it be the dental care program that covers 1 million Quebecers? And all they say is the program doesn't exist. But I can guarantee that in his riding, there are thousands of his constituents that have been able to see the dentist for the first time in years, thanks to that project. Is that inflationary spending in his mind? The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Minister wanted to be judged by the prices at the grocery store, and 8 months later, Canadians are judging and they're hungry. The food price report released today shows that the reality of Canadians is only getting worse. In 2015, the Canadian grocery store was $163 a week. Under these Liberals, it has more than doubled to $340. That's a grocery bill of $17,600 a year. Liberal taxes increase the cost of growing, transporting, and selling the food. When will these Liberals cut their inflationary spending and senseless taxes so Canadians can afford to eat?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Conservatives say they care about affordability, but their voting record says something very different. The Conservatives vote against every measure designed to help Canadian families, Mr. Speaker. Let's take one example. Parents receive a payment every month called the Canada Child Benefit. Real help with groceries, real help with clothing, real help with the everyday costs of raising children in this country, Mr. Speaker, and they voted against it every time. It's crazy. That's saying one thing and doing another. That's the Conservative Party.
Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Tell this government that they can't afford food, their response is, well, you're taxed to death, you can't afford groceries, but cheer up, we have a program for you, you should be grateful, and you've never had it so good. 86% of Canadians list food as their largest financial worry. The food price report confirms grocery prices are set to increase up to 6% next year. That's $1,000 more just to feed a family. The Prime Minister asked to be judged by the prices at the grocery store while prices are set to reach historic highs? Will the Prime Minister admit his record is a failure?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, we'll stand by our record every day in this House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, they're the ones who have to be embarrassed about their record, their track record of voting against dental care, which is putting the money in pockets of real Canadians. The Canada Child Benefit, Mr. Speaker, a tax cut. Mr. Speaker, they voted against all of it. Building Canada homes, reducing the cost of homes, automatic tax filing so people get real benefits, Mr. Speaker. That's their record. That's what they have to stand behind.
Honourable Member for Winnipeg South.
Mr. Speaker, this week the Assembly of First Nations met here in Ottawa to advance economic sovereignty. And ministers from our government were at the table because reconciliation requires real partnership and real results. Can the Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs outline how our government is turning commitments like Section 35 and the duty to consult into action, ensuring First Nations are not just consulted, but leading major projects and driving prosperity across the North?
Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This week, the Assembly of First Nations met in Ottawa, and many of us here were at the table with them. That shows that we're moving along together with First Nations. We are backing Indigenous-led growth and solutions. That's why more than half of Canada's economic activity is being Indigenous-led. We're creating hundreds of jobs right now, like those at the First Casca construction in Yukon. Our government is also ensuring that Section 35 of the Constitution is fully respected. We are ensuring that First Nations are not just consulted, but that they're co-owners of major projects.
The honourable member from Montmorency, Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister asked Canadians to judge him based on grocery prices, and what we can see is that not only is he failing to keep his promise, he's failing miserably. His policies are impoverishing Canadians, but serving his friends and interests. When the Liberals came to power in 2015, the grocery bill was $159 per week. 10 years later, it has more than doubled to $338, or $17,500 per year. When will the Liberals finally stop their inflationary spending so Canadians can feed themselves and live decently? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, you know, Quebecers elected 44 Quebec Liberal members to deal with the economy in the face of the American tariffs. And what they've seen is that our plan is working. Our GDP has grown by 3.2%. Inflation's under control at 2.2%. 60,000 jobs were created and more in October. We have the highest growth rate in the G7. There's more to be done, and we know it, but we are going to make the economy grow while protecting our way of life. The honourable member for Montmorency, Charlevoix. The latest food price report 2026 shows that while 2025 was tough, next year will be even worse. Families will spend 112% more on food than 10 years ago. 2.2 million Canadians are using food banks every month. 86% are eating less meat because of prices. Families will have to pay $1,000 more for food, the largest annual increase in Canadian history. Meanwhile, food inflation in Canada is rising 48% faster than in the U.S. Why won't the Prime Minister scrap his taxes on food so Canadians can finally afford to eat healthy food? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, my colleague is willfully blind because he's just cherry-picking figures. The fact is, inflation is down. It's at 2.2%. And it's also a fact that wages are increasing by 3.3%. So, of course, people have more money to pay for the cost of living. At the same time, what we're doing as a government is we are building a strong social safety net. We have various programs, including for school food. We will be there for Quebecers all across the province.
Honourable member for Cambridge.
Speaker, the prices at the grocery store was how the Prime Minister was to be judged. From Trudeau's crisis to this rebranded, not-so-new Liberal cabinet, Canadians are seeing costs go from bad to worse. Today's food price report shows that Canadians are bracing for the largest grocery increase in years, nearly $1,000 there's more. Under a decade of these Liberals, families gone from spending $159 a week on groceries to $338. That's more than $17,500 a year. Families are stretched to the limit, and so are food banks. When will this government rein in its inflationary spending, cut the costs it piles onto farmers, truckers, and processors so Canadians can afford to eat?
Parliamentary Secretary to the Secretaries of State for Labour, for Seniors, and for Children and Youth.
Mr. Speaker, a national school food program that's going to save parents up to $800 a year, a dental care program, a tax cut for 22 million Canadians, early learning and childcare, a Canada Child benefit. Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition stood up in this House today and called these costly promises. Members opposite call these photo ops. They call them garbage. They call them socialist programs. Mr. Speaker, this is a case of saying the quiet part out loud. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. Canadians know who's fighting for them.
The Honourable Member for Cambridge.
Their programs don't feed seniors. When Liberals claim their taxes are imaginary, I think of a senior woman in my community, one who told me she can barely afford to eat and that someday she wishes she simply wouldn't wake up because living in this indignity is harder than dying. That is what 10 years of soaring food prices and punishing taxes have done to Canadians. Not imaginary, real. Not theoretical, human. Families are being crushed by fuel costs, fertilizer costs, and the industrial carbon tax. And yet the Prime Minister looks at Canadians suffering the same way he looks at Brookfield balance sheets, as numbers, not people. When will the Prime Minister prioritize making food affordable?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, when I talk to seniors in my riding, they talk to me about the Canadian Dental Care Program. They say that this is life-changing, that this is getting them the dental care that they haven't had for years for the first time. They talk to me about the New Horizons program and how we're supporting projects that improve their quality of life. They talk to me about the $5 billion that Budget 2025 is putting into new hospital infrastructure and urgent care. Mr. Speaker, the member opposite is spewing nonsense, and if she wants to stand up for seniors, she should have voted for the budget when she had the chance.
The Honourable Member for Brandon-Souris.
When the Liberals came to office in 2015, the average Canadian grocery bill was $160 a week. A decade later, it has more than doubled to $338 a week. That's $17,500 a year. And next year's food price report confirms Canadians will pay another $1,000 more, the largest annual increase ever. Yet instead of axing taxes and spending that increase the cost of growing, transporting and selling food, these Liberals actually raised them in Budget 2025. When are the Liberals going to read the room and get prices down so Canadians can afford to eat?
The Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, that member opposite is from my home community. If he was talking to Manitobans, he would know that they want $10 a day daycare.
Right.
They want the school food program.
Right.
They want investments in housing and infrastructure.
Right.
So if he was talking to Manitobans, he would know that Manitobans support our budget. He should be supporting our budget as well.
Right.
These are generational investments like never before. He needs to get on side.
You're here. Well, the Honourable Member for Brandon-Souris.
I'd invite the minister to get outside the perimeter highway in Winnipeg every once in a while and come and tour communities in Manitoba. Here's a few facts for her. Families in Manitoba are being squeezed harder than ever thanks to her Liberal government. With Harvest Manitoba reporting today, 60,000 Manitobans a month are accessing food banks, and almost 50% of them are families with young children. A record for that minister to be proud of. Canadians don't need handouts fueling dependence on government bloated programs. They need affordable groceries on their kitchen tables. When is she going to get out of the way and deliver that for Manitobans?
The honourable government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there you have it. Handouts.
That's right.
Dependence.
That's right.
Talking about school food programs.
Right.
Talking about child care. trying to lecture my colleague from Churchill about not getting out enough. That member needs to talk to more single mothers. That member needs to talk to more young people, more skilled workers, more aluminum workers, more steel workers, more auto workers, about supporting it, about the government standing up and supporting and building this country. That member needs to get out.
The honourable member for Dufferin-Caledon.
Stellantis is investing $13 billion of their own dollars into the United States to create 5,000 auto jobs. Meanwhile, this Liberal government gave Stellantis $15 billion taxpayer dollars, and they fired 3,000 auto workers. Let that sink in for a minute. This is what happens when incompetent Liberal ministers don't read contracts. And this isn't an investment. This is a corporate ripoff. They took $15 billion and fired the workers. How does this incompetent minister sleep at night?
Good question. How?
Honorable Ministre de l'Industrie.
Honorable Minister of Industry.
Speaker, we take very seriously when it comes to investing taxpayers' money. And when it comes to Stellantis, we had a deal. They broke it. And we'll make sure that we get our money back. Period.
Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
So, unlike that minister, I've actually read the contracts. And if she actually had a legal case to do anything about the 3,000 workers that got fired in exchange for $15 billion, they would have sued. But guess what? They haven't. And you know why, Mr. Speaker? And all Canadians should know the extent of the incompetence of this Liberal government. The jobs guarantee in those contracts are not worth the paper they're written on. If I drafted that as a first-year law student, I would have got an F. How does this minister stand here and defend this terrible contract?
Honorable Ministre de l'Industrie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have no lesson to take from the Conservative. In 2009, when the Harper government decided to bail out and shake hands, GM and Chrysler at the time, they gave $28 billion of Canadian taxpayers' money without no job guaranteed. You know what happened, Mr. Speaker? 2 GM plants closed, one in Oshawa, another in Windsor. One Ford assembly plant closed as well, and one Orion bus plant closed in Mississauga. This is their record. We're creating jobs, and we're fighting for them.
The honourable member for Simcoe North.
Speaker, the Liberals committed $15 billion to Stellantis only to have them ship 3,000 jobs south of the border. In fact, just in the White House yesterday, Stellantis says they're investing $13 billion in the U.S. to create 5,000 jobs. Every time this government makes a deal, it seems like executives get taken care of while employees get overlooked. When will this Liberal government prioritize jobs for Canadians instead of corporate welfare for executives?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Speaker, speaking of jobs, we are focused on creating jobs for the good workers in Brampton across Ontario. The Prime Minister committed $2 billion to build small modular reactors in Ontario, a project that will create 18,000 jobs in Ontario and help build Canada as an energy superpower. You look at the opportunities we're creating through nuclear exports, a sector valued to create 90,000 jobs and 250 businesses in Ontario, Mr. Speaker. We remain relentlessly focused on creating jobs in nuclear, in energy across Ontario, in communities, including Brampton. Thank you.
Honourable member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, for over 3 years, Ukrainians have fought valiantly against Russia's illegal and brutal invasion, defending not just their homeland, but the principle that borders must not be changed by force and that every nation has a right to determine its own future. Canada has stood with Ukraine from day one, and now more than ever, they need our support on the battlefield, where it matters most. Can the Minister of National Defence update this House on the latest steps Canada is taking to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs to win?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, this week we announced our purchase of a package of critical military capability under NATO's prioritized Ukraine requirements list, or PEARL, in partnership with other NATO allies. Our $200 million contribution to this PEARL package will include capabilities that have been specifically identified by Ukraine as their urgent requirements to support their defense against Russia's aggression and war. Mr. Speaker, make no mistake, Canada will stand with Ukraine until victory.
The member for Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, last year over half the people who became Canadian citizens did so by clicking a box online. That is crazy. There's no justification for this. In-person citizen ceremonies are essential unifying bedrock of Canada's civic life, Mr. Speaker. Swearing the oath of citizenship in front of an official should be upheld as an integral part of committing to the responsibilities that come with being Canadian. Will the minister immediately end one-click virtual citizenship ceremonies?
Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for that question. I respect that member, and I know he knows that that's not correct. I know that he recognizes that we have a robust system in this country, that there is no such thing as that one system, that we have multiple layers, and when it comes to citizenship ceremonies,
It's a duo.
there is no such thing as that. There is multiple layers of defense. When somebody is coming out of port of entry, 100% of those people spend considerable time with service. Thank you.
The honourable member for Calgary, Nose Hill.
So the minister completely didn't answer to the question. She didn't listen to it. My colleague asked why she was allowing one-click citizenship ceremonies, which, to repeat a famous line in the House, we found on your website. People get their citizenship by doing a virtual ceremony and clicking a box. That's what we're talking about here. This is I cannot believe she's still the minister. Will she end one-click virtual citizenship ceremonies?
The honourable minister.
Say it's not. Mr. Speaker, here's the facts. Okay, virtual citizenship ceremony were started during the time of the pandemic. We all know during COVID, life shifted. Even in this parliament, we now have the voting app, for an example. So we're always looking for opportunities to celebrate our citizenship, to bring people together, to celebrate and build Canadian economy and make it strong, and we will continue to do that. Thank you.
Good job. Honourable member for Calgary, Nose Hill.
Last year, well after the pandemic, more than half of Canadian citizenships were conducted where? Online, by clicking a box. How does that unify Canadians? How does that imply and impart the responsibilities of being Canadian? She's standing up here and defending a post-national strategy. Will she end one-click virtual citizenship?
The honourable minister.
Again, I'm correcting the record for that member and those that are listening. Virtual citizenship ceremonies started during the pandemic. That is correct. There are still some that are happening. However, all new Canadians, while it is still being done under a secure, full-fledged citizenship ceremony with officials present. Thank you.
The honourable member for Pickering, Brooklyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Cyclone Ditwa has devastated communities across Sri Lanka, causing severe flooding and landslides that has claimed over 465 lives and left hundreds more missing. Homes, infrastructure, and local economies have suffered serious damage, and communities across the country are struggling to deal with aftermath, especially in the northeast hill regions, which are already struggling due to poverty and war. Canada has always been known as a partner that we can count on in moments of hardship. Could the Secretary of State for International Development inform this House of
The Honourable Secretary of State for International Development.
Our hearts are with those affected by the devastating floods in Sri Lanka, which has declared a state of emergency. Mr. Speaker, in times of crisis, Canadians step up. And to support an urgent and immediate response, Canada is providing an initial $1 million in humanitarian aid to help the Red Cross, the Humanitarian Coalition, and other partners deliver life-saving relief. This means emergency shelter, water, health services, and other essentials to the most affected, and builds on support Canada's already provided through the World Food Programme's emergency response. We're closely following developments across the region and will continue to stand with communities facing the impacts of danger.
The honourable member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the chair of the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights. Yesterday, the Liberals got up in question period and accused Conservatives of obstructing work on Liberal Bill C9, which takes aim at religious freedom and freedom of expression. The Liberals said they wanted to conduct clause-by-clause review today, but this morning, the Liberal chair cancelled the meeting, obstructing the Liberal government's own agenda and denying our right as legislators to do our work. Why did the chair cancel the meeting, and will he commit to calling our scheduled meeting on Tuesday so we can get to work?
The honourable member for Lakeshore, Etobicoke Lakeshore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I became chair of the Justice Committee just 2 short days ago, and I'm honored to take that responsibility, and I take it very seriously. Look, it became very apparent to me quickly that the committee was having a great deal of trouble, emotions were running high, and they didn't have a path forward to deal with some very important legislation that was before the committee. So acting in the best interest of the committee members, the members of this House, and the members of the public who want this bill to pass, I decided to cancel the meeting so the members could regroup to find a path forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, enough. The honourable member for Brant. Brantford South. The honourable member for Nunavut.
Options for housing in Nunavut are limited. Mold leads to chronic illness, overcrowding.
Well, the honourable member for Nunavut may start from the top if she wishes.
Options for housing in Nunavut are limited. Mold leads to chronic illness. Overcrowding leads to abuse of women already in unsafe conditions. There are 37,000 families, there are 3,700 families on the waiting list according to Nunavut Housing Corporation. Even once these houses are built, it will cost over $3 billion to maintain them. This government has only promised 700 new homes. Why aren't the Liberals fully funding Nunavut to meet the urgent housing need?
The Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, our new government is delivering on its commitments. We are dedicating $2.3 billion to urban, rural, northern homes. We're also partnering to deliver over 700 new homes and fast-tracking them. We're also building on 450 additional homes that will start in the next few years. In the Northwest Territories, we're funding 150 social homes, and in Whitehorse, 100 new affordable homes. This is just the beginning, Mr. Speaker, because we're delivering on the 3,000 homes by 2030. Thank you.
The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Some might call it a flip-flop, but a flip-flop is a sandal, and this is a betrayal. On page 348 of the budget, it says clearly that investment tax credits will not be available for enhanced oil recovery. Yet in the Memorandum of Understanding with the province of Alberta, it says we will extend federal investment tax credits to various parts of carbon capture and storage, including enhanced oil recovery. My question to the Minister of Finance is, with this additional handout to big oil, have they recalculated how deep the deficit will be? How much above $78 billion is it now?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the Memorandum of Understanding with Alberta, which provides many opportunities for us to move forward on industrial carbon pricing and on clean electricity, on building interties with neighbouring provinces. All steps that are incredibly important for us as we try and build a clean economy and build our country strong for the future. So I thank you for the question. We will keep on working to build a strong Canada going forward.
Rappel au règlement.
Rising on a point of order, the Honourable Member for Saint-Jean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, earlier this week, you clearly established your right to cut questions before